Welcome, artists. Are you hungry? 'Cause I am. I love pizza, and so we are going to be making a pizza collagraph. To start, all I'm using is recycled cardboard from a cereal box. So I just cut it into rectangles, and now I am cutting out the silhouette of a dripping cheesy pizza. For your collagraph, you don't have to make a pizza. That's just the thing that I decided to draw. You can create whatever you'd like. It can be food items, it can be anything that you're interested in. After I cut out the main shape, I'm going to start adding details to my pizza. I'm going to add lots of different shapes to represent different toppings. Part of the crust is what I'm creating right now. And I'm going to add these details to make it look even more like a pizza. After I cut out all my toppings, I arranged them on my slice of pizza the way I wanted it to look. After I liked the way it looked, I started to use my glue and glue down my pieces. You can see I'm trying not to overlap them too much, because if they are overlapped or I stack my different pieces up too high, it's difficult for the next part of this video. So I'm just trying to have 2 to 3 layers of the things that I'm gluing on. When I mean layers is I have my base, I have my main pizza shape, and then my toppings. I don't want to go much higher than that. When I'm finished gluing down all my pieces, I'm going to take a piece of tin foil that is bigger than the size of my cardboard. Next, I'm going to hold it still with one hand and smooth it up with my hand so that I can start to see the texture of my cardboard pizza coming through. You can start to see it now. I'm rubbing those lines, trying to get every little crease created so I get a really nice print when I start to print my picture. When I'm done pressing it down, I'm going to very carefully fold the edges over, holding my hand in place so that my collagraph doesn't move, because if it moves, the edges won't be as crisp, showing my image of my pizza. After I folded it over, I'm just going over it a little bit more to make sure that I really can see all the creases in my pizza. Next, I'm going to get out washable markers. The washable markers part is really important. They cannot be permanent markers, otherwise this next step won't work. They have to say washable on them. I'm going to start to color my tin foil with my washable markers. And when I'm doing this, I forgot to mention earlier, but when you are wrapping your tin foil, make sure it is on the matte side of the tin foil and not the super shiny side. The matte side seems to work a little bit better. As you're coloring in with your markers, it feels a little different than normal paper. It's super smooth, and you'll also notice that the colors of your markers spread apart. After you color it in, it looks like you missed a bunch of spots, but it's okay. It's part of the printmaking process. So just try and cover it as much as you can, and then you can always go back over it if you feel like it's really not going to show up. But I promise you, there will be some color there once we start to do the printing part. You can see my red pepperonis have started to look like the red has completely disappeared, but it is still there. Pizza mostly yellows and oranges, I wanted to do a color on the background that was different than what my pizza color was. So if I decided to make a blue pizza, I might want to do an orange background. So you want to do colors that are very different from each other so that they stand out. I'm also going over with purple over top of my blue so that I can get a new color when my blue and purple mix together. The reason I love printmaking and collagraphs is that you can create so many prints. You can make as many as you want. So if I colored my pizza again, all I'd have to do is rinse this all off and pick new colors and color it in a different way. When I'm done coloring, I'm going to take a piece of paper and a sponge and wet down the piece of paper. Now, it's really important that your paper is not soaking wet. I really squeezed out the sponge and I'm just trying to dampen it and trying to make it even all over. I even let it sit for a second before I used it because I don't want it to be too wet. So I'm using the sponge to very carefully get it damp. Next, I'm going to take my damp piece of paper and very carefully massage it and just press it down, trying to make sure that I get all that color picked up. So hold it with one hand while you're massaging it because otherwise it can move on you and that can mess up your print. So really careful. You can see I just peeked at the corner to see if it worked, and there's my print. So I could have left my print the way it was, but I wanted to add some details. So I took a black Sharpie and drew over top of it. Again, you can make as many as you want. Try this at home.